day, grade 12s. My name is Carden Madzokere. I'm the author of the distinction-bound student textbooks. I've written economics grade 10, 11, and 12, and I've published business studies grade 11 and 12. And welcome to the show, Teaching on Wheels. Right, in this episode, I'm going to do secular flow. So I'm just going to run through the topic as I'm driving. That's why it's called Teaching on Wheels. So yes, a secular flow is a model that shows how participants in an economy interact. So our participants, we have households, businesses, government, and the foreign sector. So when we have the foreign sector, we call that an open economy, because there is an economic, there is what we call a closed economy. That is when we don't have the foreign sector. All right, so these participants, the secular flow will show how they interact, how they are related. So let's start with the households. Okay, households, that's all of us. So what is it that we do? We are the owners of the factors of production to begin with. I'm saying that because of the economic system that we have in South Africa. So we are the owners of the factors of production. It wouldn't have been the case if we were a command economy. All right, so since that's the case, we own land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So those are the four factors of production. And you did them in depth in grade 11. So as we own land, we earn what we call economic rent. We own labor, we earn what we call wages and salaries. We own capital, so we get interest. And then we own entrepreneurship, we make a profit. So we then sell these four factors of production on the factor market. So already, oh, the sun is bad here. I hope it's going to be fine. So we sell our factors of production on the factor market. So already I'm sort of introducing the markets. So we then sell land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship on the factor market, and we sell them to firms and government. Like some of us work for businesses and some of us work for the government. So we then get paid depending on what it is that we have sold to the firms and the government. So we get paid. The first thing we do after getting paid is that we pay our taxes. And then one may need to know, why is it that we have to pay tax? We pay tax because we need public goods and services. And these are goods and services that are non-excludable, and they are also non-rivalry. So what that means is, for non-excludability, these goods and services, it is impossible to exclude free riders. Right now I'm driving on a public road. Who would have given us this public road if government would not give it to us? No one would be willing, because this public road is non-excludable. At the same time as I'm using it, the road behind me is still available for the next person to use. So it means in the consumption of this public road, we are not rivals. That means my consumption of this public road that I'm driving on does not exclude consumption by other drivers. As you see around me, there are cars, trucks, and all that. So they have to make use of this public road, and as they make use of it, they don't diminish consumption by other motorists. I'm approaching a traffic light. It is a public good. I see street lights up here. They are public goods. When they turn on, like right now, this traffic light is red, and all these cars around me are making use of this traffic light. And so as we make use of it, each person's consumption of this traffic light does not diminish consumption by other motorists around me right now. All right, so that's what we mean there by non-excludability and non-rivalry. But if you look at, okay, I'm passing a petrol station right now. If we look at the petrol there, right now my petrol is low, but I don't have cash with me right now. So even if I was to run empty, they wouldn't just give me the petrol, because that petrol is excludable. I have to be willing. Of course, I'm willing because I'm empty. At the same time, I have to be able. That means I have to have money. Okay, but I'm using this road. I'm willing to use it, but I don't have money with me, but no one can exclude me from using it. You see the difference? So for that, every business that we know, they are selling something which is excludable, and they are selling something which is rivalry. But so who gives us these public goods and services? Government has to. So for that, we have to pay tax. So like I said, we sell our factors of production, we get paid. That money is then used to provide public goods and services. And so what we get in our bank accounts, or what we have left after paying the tax, is what we call disposable income. So we then take our disposable income, save part of it, which happens to be a leakage, and then in case of some of us who could be in deficit, they borrow additional money, additional funds, because their budget is bigger than their income. Their disposable income, it's lower than their budget. So for that, they will have to borrow money from financial institutions. So it then, brings us financial institutions as one of the participants, but they are not a main participant. All right, then from there we move on to we then go to the product market, and then we purchase goods and services from firms, and then we get them. So we have two flows here. When our factors of production flow to businesses and government, we call that real flow. And we have another side. When we go to buy goods and services, that is money flow. But when the goods and services, when we take them, that is real flow. And when we get paid, that is money flow. So as you can see, real and money flow, they flow in the opposite direction. Wow, this angle is not good at all, but anyway, I'll proceed. So yes, then we get paid, we then go, we buy our goods and services, and then that's it. Then how does the foreign sector come into picture? Well, the foreign sector, that is where we export, that is where we import. So we buy certain things from other countries, they buy certain things from us. And so with that in mind, that's how the foreign sector comes into play. So this then takes us to the markets. I've mentioned some of the markets right now. We have the product market, we have the factor market, and we also have other markets. We have the foreign exchange market, where one currency can be traded for another. We have the capital market, where individuals and institutions trade financial securities in the long term. And then we have the money market, where individuals and institutions trade financial securities in the short term. All right, then from there we move on to another concept, which is the multiplier. Okay, in as far as the multiplier is concerned, we can describe it as a situation where let me say, it can be described as a situation where a small change in spending causes a disproportionate change in aggregate demand, and hence aggregate income. And in some cases, would have to say, with the multiplier, where one person's spending becomes income of another, and then that person, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry for that. Whenever I stop and take off, my phone falls off. I'm sorry for that. I'll have to get something, proper gear for this. All right, so like one person's spending becomes income of another, and that person's income becomes then their spending, and so on. So when this normally happens when there's an injection or new injection into an economy, right? So I'm now entering into an estate, and I'm going to continue with the lesson, or should I say, we end here, yeah, and then I'll just proceed when where is the visitors? Right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to proceed. Oh yeah, you see what I'm going to do right here? I'm going to deliver this book, from which the lesson is coming from. Yes. Okay, let me take out my license. Yebo. Ke a Moscow no? Yeah. Thank you. Oh, I thought it was going to follow. Okay. Okay, I think I might as well continue because I thought maybe I'm going to delay a bit. Alright, so let me see if I left out something. Okay, let me just have a look. Alright, I was talking about the multiplier, right? Oh yeah, I didn't talk about the GDP. Okay, fine. Then we have gross domestic product, which is the total market value of all final goods and services produced within the borders of a country over a specific period of time. So we have three methods in which we calculate this gross domestic product. We have the income method, production method, and expenditure method. So it doesn't matter which method we use, we get the same answer when we calculate GDP. All right, I think I'm going to continue from here once I've seen the person that I'm here to see. All right, thank you so much. I'll talk to you later on. I'll proceed with the lesson just now. All right. Okay, so I've made my delivery, and yeah, I now have petrol money, so I'm going to put some petrol. Anyways, moving on with the lesson. I was now talking, I had things mixed up. I forgot that I had to do, what do you call it? Okay, let me just go out. I had forgotten that I have to do, you know, it's just that this idea just came now, so I didn't like rehearse for the video, but I guess I don't have to, right? So anyways, I thought this was going to be a very good angle. Okay, this is better. All right, so moving on, the national account aggregates and conversions. I said GDP is the total market value of all final goods and services produced within the borders of a country over a specific period of time, usually over a year. So what happens is it's simply all that we produce in a year put in monetary terms. So it's from the primary sector to the secondary and to the tertiary sector. Everything that we produce put in monetary terms, the value of that is what we call GDP. So it sort of tells us whether we are, like, we can measure our economy that way from year after year. Is our economy growing? And this is one of the prime macroeconomic objectives of the government. Every state wants you know, to see that production, that growth. Like whenever you make something, okay, whatever it is that you're looking at, you always want to have it better the next year or the next day. You want to improve. So as a country, this is simply saying, are we producing more year after year? So it shows that our economy is growing. Now that is very important because it will lead to our economy developing. And so economic growth is our ability to make more goods and services, and economic development is an improvement in our standards of living. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video until I find okay, here it's getting better. No, it's bad. Alright, I'll proceed with the video where the visibility is good. Welcome back. Let's proceed. This angle, I guess, is better than, you know, what we had. Right, so I proceed with GDP. Like I said, GDP is the total market value of all final goods and services produced. So what I was saying was, this is very important because that economic growth, the growth in, like, when we make our ability to make more goods and services, means that our standards of living are going to improve. And how does this connect? Well, us producing more goods and services means we are going to need more factors of production. If you remember how we started, for us to produce goods, we need land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So who owns these? The owner is the household. So if we have to produce more, that means unemployment is going to go down, businesses are going to expand, more capital is going to be used. That means more interest, more land, that means more economic rent. So our standards of living are going to improve, and our standards of living, that is economic development. So economic growth will definitely lead to economic development. All right, so moving on. We have three methods of calculating this thing called GDP. We have the income, production, and expenditure, like I said before. So let's look at first the production method. So with the production method, it's primary plus secondary plus tertiary equals to GDP at basic prices plus taxes on products minus subsidies on products equals to GDP at market prices. Right, that's how we calculate GDP using the production method. And let's go to the income method. It's compensation of employees plus net operating surplus plus consumption of fixed capital equals to GDP at factor cost plus other taxes on production minus other subsidies on production equals to GDP at basic prices plus taxes on products minus subsidies on products equals to GDP at market prices. The last one is the expenditure method. We say final consumption spending by households plus final consumption spending by government plus gross capital formation equals to expenditure on gross domestic expenditure at gross domestic expenditure plus exports minus imports equals to gross domestic expenditure at market prices. All right, then from there we go to the multiplier. Like I said, it can be described as a situation where a small change in spending causes a disproportionate change in aggregate demand and hence aggregate income. So to calculate this, like I said before, it happens when we have new injection into the economy. So to calculate this, we use the formula K is equal to 1 over 1 minus MPC. And K, that's our multiplier, and MPC, that's the marginal propensity to consume. All right, I'm not going into depth with everything. This is just on wheels, and just to keep you, but you can watch the full videos because this it's sort of, I'm doing a summary of circular flow, but the real thing is done lesson by lesson. So I have 10 lessons on circular flow, and so you can watch those ones because they go into detail. So here I just wanted to do it as I'm driving. I'm having something at least that I'm contributing to your future. Yes, you want to pass economics, so yes, there we go. Thank you so much.